It began on a quiet evening, with a kind of sky that seemed like it had been painted specifically for Earth's forgotten edges. I had just finished repairing the communications module at the Interstellar outpost where I worked, a lonely station orbiting the barren moon of Tarsus 7. The stars beyond the viewport gleamed like shards of crystal, indifferent to my presence. Then came the unexpected transmission, an encrypted pulse from my friend Lyra, a humanoid alien from the Ilari species. I smiled, recognizing her frequency immediately. Her messages were always a mix of code and laughter, a secret language between two species whose worlds had barely brushed against each other. Human. Her voice crackled through my headset, melodic yet tinged with urgency. Come to the lower docking bay. Now. I frowned. Lyra rarely sounded urgent. The station was silent except for the hum of the life support systems, and I had the uneasy feeling that something far stranger than technical failure had just arrived. By the time I reached the bay, the airlock hissed, and I saw her, or rather, them. Standing in the docking bay was not Lyra herself, but a figure like her, yet taller, with longer limbs and eyes that glowed faintly violet in the dim light. Her posture was confident, almost predatory, and then she spoke in perfect common. "You're mine now, human." The words felt like a physical blow. I froze. My first thought was that she had to be joking. Lyra, my friend, had always been playful, yes, but never threatening. Yet there was no trace of jest in this stranger's eyes. I don't understand, I stammered. She stepped closer, her footsteps silent despite their weight. Her presence filled the room, a gravity that pulled at my attention like a tide. "I am Syra," she said, "Lyra's sister, and you are now under my protection, whether you like it or not." Protection. The word was strange coming from someone who radiated danger. My rational mind struggled to comprehend it. Protection? I repeated. "I didn't ask for anything." Syra smiled, and the curve of it was more disarming than threatening. "You never do ask for things, human. That's why I chose you. Not for your consent, but because you are interesting. Fragile, yes, but adaptable. Valuable." I wanted to step back, but some instinct rooted me to the spot. She didn't move like a predator. She was the predator, yet something in her demeanor suggested she was more curious than hostile. Before I could respond, a warning signal blinked in the corner of the docking bay console. A rogue Ilari scout ship had breached the station's perimeter, engines burning too close for comfort. Lyra's voice came through, trembling. "Human, Syra is here to help. Please trust her." Trust. Another word that seemed impossible. Yet before I could argue, Syra's hand shot out. Light leapt from her fingertips in a soft arc, intercepting the incoming energy pulse from the rogue scout. The blast dissipated harmlessly against her shield. I gawked, heart pounding. "How what?" Syra turned, violet eyes locking onto mine. "You see now why I protect you?" The boarding party was immediate. The scout ship's occupants were faster than the station's AI could warn, spilling onto the deck in humanoid forms, but their intent was clear. Capture me. Or worse. Syra moved with fluid precision, her limbs a blur, incapacitating one after another with non-lethal pulses. Every strike was deliberate, controlled, elegant. I couldn't tear my eyes away. When the fight ended, the dock was silent. Bodies lay in unconscious heaps, the threat neutralized. Syra's gaze softened as she finally turned back to me. "You're safe," she said. I wanted to laugh, to cry, to demand answers, but all I could do was shake my head. "Why me?" Syra approached, lowering her voice to something intimate. "Because you are human. Rare. Fragile. And I find myself protective of what is rare." There was again that strange, possessive protection. I had to remind myself I wasn't in Lyra's playful presence anymore. This was something else entirely. I don't know if I can accept that, I whispered. Syra tilted her head, her hair cascading in silver waves. You will, she said softly. Or, at least, you will survive. Over the next several days, life aboard the station changed. Syra's presence was constant. She moved through the corridors like a shadow, always near but never overbearing, unless danger approached. I found myself unnerved by how much she knew about me. She anticipated my movements, my choices, even my moods. And slowly, impossibly, I began to rely on it. Lyra tried to intervene once, sending messages pleading for distance, but Syra dismissed them with a simple phrase. Humans are fragile. Some need guidance. This one needs me. I began to understand that Syra's claim of ownership wasn't just possessive, it was cultural. Among the Ilari, protection could mean control. To them, the strongest ensured the survival of the weak. But the concept felt suffocating, alien, and yet there was comfort in it, too. Then came the day the other station finally arrived. The Veil Fleet, a coalition of alien species that regulated interstellar travel. They had tracked the rogue scout and demanded to detain the intruders, including me. I was terrified. Being human meant being expendable. I would have been alone, defenseless. But Syra stood in the corridor, her hand resting lightly on the hull of the docking bay, energy flaring softly around her form. They will not touch him, she said when the lead Veil officer demanded my surrender. The officer paused, studying her. You claim authority over a human? Syra's violet gaze sharpened. I claim what is mine. You will not interfere. There was a tense silence, and for the first time, I saw the respect she commanded. Even the Veil officers hesitated. And finally, they relented. I realized then that her words earlier were literal, not metaphorical. I was hers now. And as terrifying as it was, I also realized I had a choice, to resist or to accept the strange bond that had formed. It wasn't an easy acceptance. The first night, as the station's artificial night cycled through, I lay awake, listening to the hum of her protective shields, feeling the invisible threads of her attention. Every creak, every alarm, every shadow was monitored. The weight of her presence pressed down, and yet it was oddly reassuring. You're awake, she said, her voice quiet but clear in the dark. I can't sleep, I admitted. She moved closer, settling beside me without touching. Then I will watch. Sleep when you are ready. I will not let anything happen. Her words were possessive, yes, but not cruel. They were a promise, and for the first time since the incident at the docking bay, I felt safe. Days turned into weeks. We navigated supply runs, rogue scout attacks, and the occasional Veil inspection, and every time, she was there. Fierce, protective, enigmatic. My fear of her faded, replaced by a strange, reluctant trust. And occasionally, I caught glimpses of something softer, her humor, her curiosity, her fascination with human quirks. One day, while I repaired the outer hull, a stray meteor passed uncomfortably close. I froze, fear clawing at my chest, but Syra was already there, energy flaring around her in a protective dome. You're reckless, she said, voice laced with exasperation. I'm human, I muttered. Recklessness comes with the territory. She laughed then, a sound unlike the melodic warbles of Lyra, deeper, more resonant. And in that laughter, I felt a connection that went beyond fear, beyond control. Eventually, the day came when the Veil Fleet could no longer ignore the station's independent operations. They sent a formal delegation, requesting to take me into their custody for human preservation purposes. Syra's response was immediate and absolute. She appeared in the main docking bay, radiant and imposing, and delivered her declaration. He is mine. Under my watch, on my station, for as long as I decide. No one will take him. I felt the tension in the air crackle, but no one dared challenge her. Not because she threatened them with violence, though she could have, but because she exuded authority, command, power. As the delegation departed, I turned to her. You really mean it? Syra's violet eyes softened for just a moment. Every word. You are mine, human. Mine to protect, mine to guide, mine to survive. And in that moment, I understood fully. My life had changed forever. I was no longer just a human technician on a remote station. I was under the guardianship of an alien who saw value in my fragility and strength in my presence. I could have resisted. I could have rebelled against her claim. But after everything, the attacks, the threats, the uncertainty, I didn't. Somehow, being hers made me feel more alive than I had ever been. I looked at her, at the alien who had taken me as her own, and for the first time, I whispered without fear. Then I trust you. Syra's lips curved into a small, victorious smile. Good, she said, because now you belong to me. And as she stood there, towering and protective, I realized that mine didn't mean ownership in the human sense. It meant survival. It meant companionship. It meant the strange, terrifying, exhilarating bond between two beings from completely different worlds, one fragile, one formidable, but both undeniably connected. The stars outside continued to shine, indifferent, yet for the first time, I felt like I belonged somewhere. Not in the cosmos at large, not in the safety of Earth, but under the vigilant watch of an alien I could not fully understand, yet somehow trusted. And in that trust, I found something extraordinary, a new definition of home.